Hey everyone, this is Shaun YURTKURAN. You've heard me on WYAB on the radio, and you can also catch me on the new Hulu series Death in the Dorm Season 2. I just wanted to introduce you all to my law firm, the YURTKURAN Law Firm. I'm located over in Fondren on Mill Street in Jackson, Mississippi. I've got over 18 years of law practice under my belt, including a decade as a felony prosecutor in Hinds County and at the Mississippi Attorney General's office. I spent all those years putting bad guys away. Now let me help keep you out. You can call me anytime at 601-906-9094 for a consultation, or just if you want to talk about something about your case. I'm committed to helping you navigate the complexities of the legal system, which I know can be difficult and confusing and downright scary at times. Let me help you use my experience to explain the system to you and how it works and how I can best help you. You can call me again at 601-906-9094 to discuss any of this and any of your worries. Trust me to handle your defense, where it is going to be my priority and your future will be my focus.
Unfiltered, no sugar added talk radio. Boom, shaka, laka, boom. You've tuned in to the Clay Edwards Show. I'm, of course, Clay Edwards. I'm here live on 103.9 FM WYAB with my Friday co-host. Good thing we both know how to swim. We ain't your typical non-swimmers. We can actually swim, and we made it out here. I made it through the parking lot so much. And, of course, I have a push-button start on my fancy car, which Nissan Altimas have push-button starts now, so, you know, that doesn't really mean anything. Anyway, I did not cut it all the way off. I just did left ignition on. And when I tell y'all it's pouring down rain here in Florida, Mississippi, it is, it's a gully washer. What are some of the things rednecks like to call big rain, Shaun?
Gully washer? I haven't heard that before.
Gully washer?
Gully washer, okay.
Mississippians, man, we have little fancy one-liners for everything. And
No. I mean, I love them. I just never heard that one before.
What are some of y'all's favorite words or phrases for it's raining really hard? Text them into the Guns and Gear text line, 769-241-1944. But yeah, I finally got up under the awning and then was sitting there looking at my car, and the headlights were not going off. I was like, oh, you have to be kidding me. I run back out there, and I didn't cut it all the way off. So I cranked it, or let me rephrase it, I crunked it, and then I uncrunk it, and I came back out and I did the same thing again. So as I sit here, after 2 times of having to run back out in the middle of a parking lot.
And luckily I brought an umbrella, and Clay did not have one. So
Clay did not.
you got to borrow that.
If I had just walked out my house the same time I walk out every day, I would have beat the rain inside the building. But that extra 3 minutes cost me. I could see the station on 49. I could literally see it, and then
yeah,
the dam opened.
The one thing I was glad about that is because you never tell me drive up here when it's raining real hard, and I come through from Belhaven, Medgar Evers, and it's like the potholes become like giant lakes out there when it's like that, and the crackheads are just like doing rubber duckies and swimming and everything, and it's just like you might hit somebody. It's a mess. You can't see anything because there's no street lights, and you just can't see anything, and so that always scares me driving down here when it's raining going down that way. So I was glad just before the gas station had hit. I was like, well, at least that's better.
Okay, so people have texted in pretty quick on this, on my question of the day here, Shaun. I have never heard the expression, and I just got 4 texts with the same thing, like a cow peeing on a flat rock. Of course, they use another word for peeing.
Yeah.
On a flat rock. Of course, raining like it's cats and dogs. I've never heard this one either. We got 3 or 4. Frog strangler.
Frog strangler?
Frog strangler. We're going to have to put Shaun on the case of who strangled the frog.
Who strangled the frog? Frog strangler.
Was it the gay frogs?
I forgot about the gay frogs. That's right.
The gay frogs. The gay frogs. Well, man, let's jump into some stuff here real quick. Let me open my show notes, and we'll get this party started. Shaun, last night was a absolute masterclass in gaslighting. Dang it!
Oh, here we go. You just got gaslit.
Back in. Sorry for that. I'm guessing that's going to be a recurring theme today. They love to do those early in the mornings when Shaun and I are on the radio. as previously mentioned, hey, well, yeah, I guess on to that. You got to be careful out on the roads this morning. It's going to be nasty. And you know that if you got to go through Jackson, Democrats, in fact, cannot drive. Most of them do not have insurance. If you do not have full coverage insurance, you may want to call in today. You're going to want to sit this one out because what happened was if a Democrat with no insurance hits your car, you ain't going to have a car no more. That's it. It's a wrap, especially if you only had liability. You know, unless you have uninsured motorists, which you probably don't. Let's just be honest.
Do most people not have uninsured? I'm just...
Yeah, I don't think you have to have uninsured motorists.
I can't remember
if you have general liability, which just covers the other person's car.
I mean, I think you're right. I think it's law. It's general liability, but I don't know. I've always had so I never even thought about it before.
Yeah, I mean, but isn't that what we call full coverage?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, and comprehensive. So I was
just saying, but the generic terms has always been full
coverage. Sure.
Yeah, I know there's basically I've always just assumed full coverage. There may be different levels to it, like an extended warranty or a vehicle service contract. Will it fix my vehicle and will it fix their vehicle? That's full coverage. Everything else in between, on top of that, extra bodily insurance, all that type stuff. I'm sure there's levels to this, but at the end of the day, if you're a no insurancer or a general liability attorney, today is not the day. You just don't roll the dice.
Takeaway is a lot of people don't have insurance, and that's because we're the highest uninsured state in the country, I think.
Yeah.
That's what we were talking to, I think, the Mayor Wyndham about what was going on with the insurance plates, and that's because the facts are that we have the lowest amount of covered people in the state, which makes sense. I mean, that's a problem.
And, we also have the highest amount of people on some type of government assistance.
Do we? I mean,
there was one of the banking companies that I worked for, not them, but when I was doing finance, like maybe it was Capital One, I don't remember who, but it was that type deal. They did some analytics around here, and 70% of the people in Jackson, Hinds County, are on some type of government assistance.
70%?
From disability to EBT to welfare to whatever.
Gotcha.
Social Security. I don't know. I don't know if you consider that
that's
government assistance, but it's a lot of it. It's just a lot of people are getting their check from the government.
Social Security, I look at it as we pay for that, right?
Yeah.
And so that's because there's a lot of people. I've had this conversation, with people you don't just get Social Security. You've got to get the requisite quarters to get it. And it takes about 10 years of working time. Some people just think that it never work and they're just going to get Social Security. I've had that conversation with many people. You're probably not going to get. You can log on to the site and check if you've hit that marker to get it.
Yeah.
And but a lot of people, I think are under the impression that they're going to get it when they're not.
Yeah. All right. Shifting gears back to Joe Biden and his gaslighting masterclass last night.
He was really angry, wasn't he?
Why is he so angry? I mean, he's so proud of himself and angry all at the same time.
He sounded like you ever seen Gran Torino? Like Clint Eastwood. He's like, "All right, Republicans, get off my lawn." That's kind of the way he sounded last night to me. Someone told him be loud, and I guess that's what he went with. I'm going to be loud, so he was really loud.
What I think it was is he had his earpiece in.
Yeah, could have been.
And it was a repeat after me.
Oh.
And he has dementia. And look, I know somebody's going to be out there, and they're going to be like, y'all don't need to be making light of dementia. It's going to be hell when it's you later. I won't remember.
I hope I can forget some of the stuff.
Yeah.
No, that's a bad joke.
No, I mean, it is what it is. Look, guys, I'm gonna talk crap. Just at the end of the day, this is an offensive, incendiary radio show about half the time. And that's what we're going to do, whether it's talking about some nut job having relations with her dog, or if it's talking about Joe Biden having dementia, or people pretending to jump off bridges for sympathy. Well, we're going to call it out. And we're going to quit going by societal norms. Everybody else has stopped.
I think it's
men are women, women are men.
I mean, I think because we're kind of just saying what everybody's thinking half the time. And also, another thing I have a question about the guy jumping on the bridge, or the dog, or whatever you want to talk about. The news media puts this out there. I mean, they're not putting this out there so people won't read it. They're doing it because they think people are going to read it. That's why they do it. So we're just talking about what they reported anyway. I mean, it's not like I didn't find the story out about the dog or the jumper or whatever.
These aren't inside tips, scoops I was getting from somewhere. People find this stuff train wreck interesting.
Yeah, I mean, like the thing you sent me last on Instagram, I was going to send it to you an hour before you sent it to me. I was like, their heads in the same place about there was like
Never hesitate.
A
female preacher that became an OnlyFans porn star.
I mean, right, why is that on Instagram? Because people want to see that kind of stuff. They're like, that's just why there's always look at the school teacher in Poughkeepsie that's on OnlyFans, and everybody gets interested in that.
Yeah,
that's why the Trooper scandal is so popular, because it's just incendiary and people like to read stuff like that.
Sex, lies, and videotape, man. Mm-hmm. You know, however you want to look at it.
Yeah,
it's interesting. I mean, look, when I have a bias, I try not to, like on a local story. Like if I have a personal friendship with people, it is harder for me to talk. I won't stick my head in the sand and ignore it, but it's just human nature. There's going to be some stuff that I just don't go as hard on.
100%. I've said that a million times about my relationship with the Heinz DA's office. It's hard for me to talk about them. It's like talking about family. Like I don't know how to, I worked there so long. It's just not an easy thing to talk about.
I can report the story, but if you're looking for me to be like, we got a brand new effed around and found out champion, and it's somebody that's never been nothing but nice to me, sorry, people want me to talk about the Ivana stuff, and I don't mind, covering it from a 30,000-foot view, but I used to live across the street from Ivana. She's always been nothing but nice to me.
Yeah.
It's interesting. She's made it very public. It's an interesting story, but, I don't have anything bad to say about her.
Right, it's like because we live in such a small community anyway, so we all kind of know each other through somebody or sort of know each other, and I think that's causes some of the the issues. But like for instance, so like those stories, like the dog or the jumper, the news is reporting on it. There's a million. We can all agree there's a million crimes in Jackson that happen every day that no one's talking about. Bob that broke into a house on Piedmont or something. I mean, nobody's doing because it's not interesting. I was like, oh, just another house burglary.
Well, that's like the flack I get. They say all the time, why do you only report when black people do something bad? I was like, because there's not enough white people committing a crime as interesting or as violent as whatever. And it's not saying a black-white thing. Mm-hmm. It's a demographics thing. Most of your poverty, the most extreme crimes come out of poverty. We're going to talk about the State of the Union.
Yeah, we'll get to it. Right.
The most extreme crimes typically happen in poverty-stricken areas where every penny's do or die.
Yeah, true.
We can get into the semantics of what causes that within that, but that's a 30,000-foot view here. And the most poverty-stricken area in the Tri-County area is Jackson. The demographics of Jackson are 90% black.
Yeah.
So that's where the bulk of the crime that's just like, what? You did what? It happens. There's not a lot of, I ain't saying they don't happen. One did happen in a part in Brandon the other day. There was a drive-by shooting. I mean, it was a interpersonal violence, as Chuck
I
Way
missed
says.
that one. There was one in Georgia.
Yeah, one guy killed one young black teenager, killed two other black teenagers.
Okay, I didn't see it.
In like a gun deal gone bad or something. It wasn't actually a drive-by, but they were left dead in the driveway.
Legal transaction that went sour quickly. That's generally a situation for a murder.
And then the crazy guy killed his wife. I mean, so stuff happens. I would say the more what's the word I'm looking for? Exaggerative, over the top, sultry domestic violence type stuff happens in Hines and Rankin County. I mean, Rankin and Madison County.
Yeah, but like that Todd Martis guy that was all over the.
And the guy in Brandon, the white guy in Brandon, killing his wife and then dressing up like her to cut the yard so people would think that they saw her for his alibi.
I can't believe I heard that story. I've got a back channel that was the real story, that he wasn't a transgender. That was his getaway plan.
And that's how he got caught. And when he got caught, he was dressed up like her. He wasn't actually a cross-dresser.
No, he wasn't a cross-dresser, but it looked like that in the photo because he was, wearing makeup and all that stuff.
But these are the stories that only we talk about. Mm-hmm. I mean, past the first layer.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about that thing last night. I mean, there's this million things we hear all the time that are just interesting.
I mean, I think that's what separates us. Because look, you're not going to get award-winning, hard-hitting traditional journalism here. It's just not what we do.
You're not getting a Pulitzer.
No, I mean, if I do, paint me shocked. I mean, I can't even make Russ Latino's top 50 list.
I know, that's what I told Russ. I was like, why we got snubbed, man? What's up with that?
You're just talking to the mic.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, so I told Russ, I was like, why, man? You snubbed us. Whatever. There's all these other people that I never heard of on here. Come on, man.
All right.
But we'd have to get invited to the dinner, and that probably would have been a problem. So.
All right, we're gonna take a break. We'll be right back. Welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show live here on 103.9 FM WYAB. Hey guys, this segment is going to be brought to you by our friends over at Guns and Gear. Man, I had a good long conversation last night with the owner on the phone, Mr. Hunter. He wants me to let you know that, after the unfortunate, untimely passing of a longtime worker, staff member, family member over there, that there's a very good sales position open, and they're looking for the right person. When you replace an internal legend like that, you better be the right guy or girl for that matter. But if you think you want to get paid to play with guns and talk guns all day and hang out with gun people at the gun store and work for some cool folks, this is your opportunity. Get over there to Guns and Gear today. Put in an application. They put it online. They've only got one app. This is right there in Gluckstadt. This is one of those jobs that could become a career real quick. You can work your way into this and do very, very well. Hunter is a guy with big plans, and you can come get in on the ground level and be a part of that. Not necessarily the ground level, but they have been open, almost 10 years. But neither here nor there. Get over there, put the application in today. Maybe you're unhappy with your current employer, current situation. Feel like you're kind of at a dead end job. Hey, look, I was 43 years old when I started doing all this. 46 now, and went from being frankly, this ain't no knock at my fellow car salesmen out there. I love y'all. This is more about the career itself. I was miserable selling cars, and here I am 3 years later. I'm getting to talk on the radio and say incendiary things on the internet now for money. So that doesn't mean you can't change careers mid-swing. Doesn't mean I won't be back selling cars next month either. maybe I'll be at Guns and Gear, working the counter over there. That wouldn't be a bad gig. If it was closer to Brandon, I might just do it. But anyway, neither here nor there. Get out to Guns and Gear this weekend. Buy your guns. Buy your ammo. Let them take care of all your gunsmithing and Cerakoting needs as well. That's Guns and Gear. Check them out online. gunsandgearms.com. Sean, all right, we made an executive decision.
Yeah.
There's a story. We're going to get to I've got a ton of Joe Biden clips and some other clips, and we're going to spend a good bit of today talking about the State of the Union. But it was a train wreck. I mean, we could really go without it, but we get some funny things to say.
He's old.
Some funny reactions. And, if it was Donald Trump, they'd be burning the airways up talking about him. So we're going to talk about Joe. But we are a fancy, it's more than a rumor, but I'm not prepared to tell y'all names yet. So we're going to stir a little tea this morning, a little old-fashioned tea. So there was a party at a legendary restaurant here in the Tri-County area.
Yeah.
I think we'll say that.
Everyone's heard of it.
Everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone's heard of it. We're not going to tell you which one it is. At the off chance this ain't true,
Yeah.
I want to layer this with a big layer of allegedly. But some lobbyists and some legislatures were having a little party there in a back room. And there was a very, very attractive waitress. And somewhere along the way, if I hear the story correct, the lobbyists talked the waitress into letting them do body shots off of her.
Right. That's the way the story was related to me as well.
In exchange for a Louis Vuitton purse.
That's what I heard. Yeah.
It's in exchange for a Louis Vuitton purse.
Yeah. And she was naked too, I think.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, that's typically the way body shots
Well, I don't know. Sometimes you have your shirt off or something.
Yeah. So anyway, the guy orders the purse. The lobbyist orders the purse.
Yeah.
And then I guess he's got to explain to his boss how this charge came up on the Amex or whatever. And Sean, I'm going to let you tell the rest of it.
Yeah, I heard that part I heard, and I heard that something about explaining about fraud on the card. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what I'd heard.
Yeah, literally trying to charge it to the game.
That's the way it was related to me. Now, whether this is true, I don't know. I'm not stating it as material fact. I'm just saying it's a rumor that's out there that everyone that I know and Clay and all of us have heard many times, related to us by many different people all over the state. It's kind of to be the worst kept secret out there. So.
Little did I know that I had as much in common with lobbyists and legislatures as now I've never bought somebody a purse to do body shots, but I will say that when you're on a nightclub for 12, 13, 14 years, body shots have been had in the kitchen.
That's happened.
Yeah.
But being in the legislature sounds awesome. I mean, that's they're having a good time. Like, that it makes you wonder what all those stories out of the Sun and Sand, but maybe they get better now. Like, they are rocking and rolling over there.
I mean, you get your high four.
And you get high. It's great.
And you got lobbyists doing wild things. Like, hey, you know what? I saw a picture of the girl.
Yeah, so did I.
She's a solid 10.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She's a solid 10. So there's that. So it takes a little game to talk a solid 10 into doing some shenanigans like that.
Yeah, it was a pretty good move on that guy. I mean, how much does a Louis cost? Like $3,500, $4,000, something like that?
I've never bought one. If I do, it'll be from China, and nobody will ever know the difference.
Yeah. I bought some from China before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to say, I mean, it takes a real closer.
True.
I mean, I can see why this guy's, supposedly one of the best lobbyists in the state.
Yeah.
It takes a closer. I mean, he's listened to all the Grant Cardone books and everything.
And I just wonder, who the legislators were. That'd be interesting to ever find out. And I mean, what were with all those things yesterday, with all the family values platforms and all that stuff, and then back there doing body shots off a naked waitress. I was like, I will bet you $100 in the studio right now. I know that's illegal, so not really, but it sounds good. That they were Republican. Oh yeah, I'm guessing, but there isn't that many Democrats left in there anyway, so the odds are good.
They're probably some of the ones that transferred over from being Democrats to Republicans because they knew. Mm-hmm. No, I'm joking about that. Let me just be honest. Maybe they're barstool conservatives like myself, and frankly, none of this is frowned upon.
No, well, I mean, if you were elected legislator and somebody was like, Clay Edwards is back in some room doing, I'd be like, yeah, okay, that's cool. I'm still voting for him. But but if it's some guy that's going on like, I love Jesus 27% more than my opponent, then I'd have a problem with that guy doing it.
Yeah,
that guy.
Absolutely. Look, man, I don't want to ever be anybody's moral compass.
Yeah, but you're not proclaiming yourself to be that.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I mean, like you get what you get.
That's kind of like when we were talking about Donald Trump. I don't know that he's ever really said that he's like the moral compass of the world or anything like that. And but I think there's a lot of politicians that get out there and talk about how how much they love Jesus and and all that kind of stuff, and then they get caught doing that's what causes them problems. It's it's hypocrisy and the whole thing, and so I'm guessing it'd be interesting to know if that was.
So I'm guessing at some point the only thing that's going to make this a legal issue is the fact that he bought this person and claimed it as fraud on the company credit card.
I would think that would be a problem. Yeah, if that's true. Yeah.
So we'll keep y'all posted on this and let our local sleuths begin doing their investigating.
I'm sure we'll get calls about it today now that it's been put out there because we were talking about this last night. We discussed it. We've heard it from everybody, so it feels like it's a pretty good topic, and I'm sure people are going to call us and tell us more to it, and maybe who was there. If anyone wants to call and let us know who was there, be interested to know that. So
yeah, like y'all can text me all you want. I'm not telling y'all where it was or any details. I know y'all don't ask for the picture of the girl either.
And I know y'all want to get invited to the party because Clay and I really like to go to the next one. Whenever the legislators get together, please call us because I want to go.
There's going to need to be some witnesses.
Yeah, just let us go, and then we won't talk about that on the radio. We promise. We will not talk about it if we can come to these parties.
All right, that's funny. Look, all right, we're back on schedule after running over that last time. Let's take our break real quick, come back. Let's dive into the gaslighting event of the year. I actually tagged that masterclass thing.
Mm-hmm. I saw that.
They actually did one of those with Hillary, of all things, like how to lose an election, I guess. How to lose a rigged election.
I've seen them with George W. Bush, too. Have you seen that?
Well, maybe so, but I know. Anyway, so I tagged them. I said, will y'all be doing some master classes with Joe Biden on gaslighting after this? My goodness. All right, we'll be right back on the Clay Edwards Show. Guys, be sure to get out to Burgers, Blues, Barbecue, all three locations, and grab breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Well, breakfast is only available at the Madison and Flowood locations. They're open now. Get over there, enjoy some breakfast today, or get over there at lunch and try one of their great smash burgers, grilled chicken sandwiches, barbecue, and more. Located right there in Dogwood at Flowood and on Main Street in Madison and downtown Brandon, right there on Highway 80 or West Government Street, as we call it out there. BurgersBlues.com. Welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show. Hey, guys, if you're going to be in Jackson today or tonight, it's ribeye steak night at Martin's downtown. Get down there, enjoy a nice, fat, I would call it a home-cooked ribeye, but that's what they taste like. They're just flame-kissed. They are so good. Or if you're not a nighttime person, if you're getting a little older like myself, a little long in the tooth, get down there at lunch today. Get the best blue plate in town. Me and Sean ate there last week and had some of their award-winning fried chicken. Sorry, yep. Sean, how was the fried chicken?
Man, it was good. And I don't usually eat fried chicken, but it was great. I was like, I think we saw it, and I was like, okay, I'm going to try this.
They've been promoting it all week. Like maybe last week was National Fried Chicken Day or something. I don't know, but I was like, okay, I will deviate from the country fried steak for one other thing, and that's fried chicken.
Yeah.
And, man, there were no regrets at all. So get down there, try that today. Again, the Blue Plate Special is fried chicken. I got the hash brown casserole. And mashed potatoes. No, hash brown casserole and, mashed potatoes. I ain't getting fried chicken without mashed potatoes. So get down there, try that. Hey, look, here's a few of the upcoming bands. Don't forget the biggest St. Patty's Day parade after party in all the cities is going to be at Martin's Saturday, March 23rd. 90s country party with the Mustache Band. If you've never seen the Mustache Band, you are missing out. They are not just some random band up there playing hits of 90s country hits. They're playing it in 90s country hits characters as well. They put on a heck of a show. I've had the privilege to see them 3 or 4 times in the last year at some events. You will not regret it. Check them all out online. Martin's Downtown, JXN.com. Their full menu is available for delivery. Again, Martin's Downtown, JXN.com, and enjoy some local good home cooking. And don't forget, they're coming to the town of Livingston here in the next couple of months. They bought the old Livingston Mercantile Restaurant, or The Gathering, I mean. So
that's going to be cool. I can't wait to see that. I'm going to actually take an Uber up there when it opens, because I'm like, there's no way I'm not going to Martin's North and checking it out. Like, I got to check it out.
Heck so. Yeah. Hey, so in closing on this whole body shots and lobbyist thing.
Yeah. Fun times at the Capitol.
More than one person just confirmed exactly who it was. And
yeah.
And he's in the, I don't know if it's this year's or last year's, but he made this little top 50 list that we were just talking about.
Yep. I guess, well, he probably earned it.
Hey, he clearly did.
He did. He's kind of, look, we're not hating on this guy. I think he's kind of a baller. Like, that's pretty cool to be able to pull that off, you know? I think I'm sorry, I was backed away. I think that's cool to pull that off, to be able to pull that off.
It's a funny story. After 15 years in the bar business, it's a funny story for me. I'm not mad. I'm not mad.
I mean, it's tough being at the Capitol all day, going through all these bills and dealing with everybody. You got to let loose.
Yeah.
Can't hate that.
I mean, look, I'm going to let loose tonight.
Yeah. I mean,
and tomorrow.
And tomorrow, right? Exactly. I know I saw the brewery was having like hamburger food truck, and I told my buddy, I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to that. Like, it's just, so I mean, I get it. Look, if the legislators like to do body shots and pass, really conservative bills, hey, do what you want.
I may have to let loose a little Sunday to get over the letting loose from tonight and tomorrow.
That generally happens.
All right, let's jump into this state of disunion.
You didn't like the speech? I'm just shocked.
No, man. I tell you what I did like. Shout out to Marjorie Taylor Greene, a true patriot. A true patriot. I mean, not everybody in D.C. is a corrupt rhino or Democrat. We do have Marjorie Taylor Greene and Matt Gaetz and Lauren Yogurt Boebert. So here is Joe Biden. Here is Joe Biden saying that the COVID vaccine is going to be used to cure cancer.
The vaccine that saved us from COVID are now being used to beat cancer, turning setback into comeback.
A setback is just a setup for a comeback. Who writes this stuff?
I don't know. I mean, it was, I think I was texting. I'm sure I was texting you the whole speech, and several other people were getting a message from. I think I really liked the beginning, like when he was on the Adderall real hard. Like at the beginning of the speech when he was like, "Let's basically take down Putin."
No.
And it
was not Adderall
or meth, or what you want to call it.
They had the Hitler cocktail.
That's PCP. That was PCP.
That explains the wild, angry outburst.
Yeah, that part when he was like, let's go destroy the Russians. I was all in on that, but then it just kind of like veered off into like I wrote down some sections of it that I thought were really disjointed. One point he says,
"What about the prescription drugs in Moscow?"
That was confusing. And then there was, "We're going to ban AI voices and bring home our troops." Did you hear that in like one sentence?
No.
Like I was like, what is that? Like, how does that go together?
What about when he threatened the Supreme Court?
Did he? He said something about empowering women, and then said you're going to see what they can do now. I think that's what he said.
Let's listen to him in his own words.
And with all due respect, justices, women are not without electoral power. Electoral or political power. You're about to realize just how much you're right about that.
Well, he says you're about to realize. Basically, he told them FAFO.
Electoral or political power.
Send the president a shirt.
You're about to realize just how much you're right about.
You're about to realize just how much.
Did you notice one thing he was doing during the whole debate? He kept on coughing a lot. It was constant, and I thought that was kind of distracting during the whole thing. I don't know, was he sick or did he chest X-ray? That's what I kept noticing. But here's what, all seriousness, there was two things I thought were good. I thought the Putin stuff, because I love that stuff, because you know my feelings on that. Then then he went into January 6th, which was kind of cringeworthy to me. Like, I didn't think it was appropriate for that point in time. I would have just left that out. The State of the Union is not supposed to be political. This was probably the most political State of the Union speech, according to even all the pundits that listened.
It wasn't
ever.
A State of the Union. It was a campaign.
It was speech. Yeah, it was a campaign speech, which is not really supposed to be. Then he went into the abortion issue. I thought that was really good when he pointed out the lady from Texas. Because, if you're a Democrat right now, Clay, that's the issue you got. I mean, you got to run with what you got, because you don't got the economy, you don't got immigration, you're losing on all those by the numbers. Abortion's the only thing that you're kind of winning. So you got to
run on killing babies.
You got to run on it. Yeah, I mean, that's what you got to do. I mean, because that's what you're winning with the public on. So, but then after that, it went into all this stuff. Then he started talking about Lincoln Riley, who was the coach of Nebraska, not Laken Riley. Did you hear him calling Lincoln Riley?
I did. I got it in my notes over here.
And I was like, wait a second, isn't that the coach of Nebraska or something? Like, I mean, I don't know. It was just, I really paid attention for the first 30 minutes that I thought was okay. But after that, it was so disjointed that I couldn't make sense of most of it. It was really difficult. And then, of course, after it, there was the Republican response. Did you watch that?
I watched I did not, but Allison actually sent me a screenshot because people were talking so bad about it.
Yeah.
But I was getting ready to go to bed, so I watched it this morning when I got up. Well, about a 5-minute excerpt. Not as strong. I mean, she's a pretty lady, but is she running for class president?
I thought she was on QVC, like, hey, look, and if you act now for $9.99, you can get this hammer, and we'll fix the country together.
Let's take a call real quick. Hey, you're on there.
What's going on? Good morning, gentlemen.
Hey, brother.
What's up?
Hey, when he was coming in, one of the dudes was wiping his nose real hard, and Joe was getting the coughing from that run back you get from when they do that Coca-Cola.
Probably what it was. They had to wake him
Hunter
up a little
was in
bit.
The back somewhere. That's where he was, because it was a dude when he was coming in. He was wiped under his nose with a straight finger. I'm like, like he was. You know what I'm talking about. I'm like, man, that was kind of strange. Then Joe got down and got the cough. Like, oh yeah, I know what they've been doing. You notice how he kept rubbing his hands.
Yeah, just like what's her name did, and the Joe, who's the girl that accused Captain Jack Sparrow of the one he was dating?
Yeah.
Oh, Amber Heard.
Amber Heard, when she was sniffing a little bit.
Yeah.
It's called a bullet. I ain't saying I've ever had one, but I may have seen one. It's called a bullet. You kind of have it and go on about your business.
Yeah.
Hey,
heard of it.
Was it just me or my TV, or did it seem like that room was darker last night and not as lit up as it normally is?
Who were all the women dressed up like Klans people?
I saw your tweet last night. I couldn't stop laughing about that.
I'm going to jump over here. I know you're getting ready to go to your break, man. Y'all be safe up there in that weather.
Appreciate
Thanks,
it,
man.
Chris. Take care, brother. Good hearing from you.
Have a blessed one. Be safe.
You too. Yeah, I mean, why were Democrats dressed up in their former Democrats' robes last night?
I'll tell you, I was watching that with Renee last night, and he said, "Did you just see what Clay put on Twitter?" And I swear to God, I fell out of the chair.
What did I put?
It was something about, like, do they look like, they're in the Klan or something?
Yeah. I was like, and Democrats they miss the mark so much with these progressive left people. They miss the mark so much, trying to do things in solidarity.
I don't like any of that. I didn't like what Marjorie Taylor Greene, I know you did. I didn't like it. I thought I think it's disrespectful to the proceeding there. I didn't like what they did. I mean, Democrats have done that before. Republicans have done it. I don't like any of it. I feel like there should be some decorum in that setting, but there isn't anymore. And this goes on both sides. It happens both times. And I don't like it.
If I could pick, I would do without all of it.
Yeah, that's what I think. It's just horrible.
But if we're going to get into a peeing match, I want Marjorie Taylor Greene on my side.
Yeah, I mean,
I like a little white trash.
She looked like she was from the truck stop. I mean, I get it. But I feel like it's just, we've descended into this just lack of complete respect for the institution at all, and I hate it. And both sides play that game, and it's just it's distracting and stupid, quite frankly.
How about the man that got kicked out for shouting at Joe?
What was he yelling? I couldn't tell.
So his name is Steve Nikoi.
Okay.
He was arrested and charged with misdemeanor for interrupting Biden tonight. His son was killed at Abbey Gate during Joe Biden's withdrawal from Kabul.
Okay.
Kabul.
Oh, that was about Afghanistan?
He was yelling Abbey Gate.
Oh, okay.
So I had to look it up because I wasn't aware, and frankly, I did not know that was called Abbey Gate.
I didn't know that till just now. Is that what it was called? Okay.
Abbey Gate, and so yeah, I didn't have a problem with that. Your kid got killed because of a
now I
blunder.
don't either, and I can see exactly what you're saying.
I would have loved for Lake and Riley's parents to have been in there hollering, "Say her name." I know Marjorie Taylor Greene was, and that's when Marjorie Taylor Greene shouted, "Say her name."
But he
said Lincoln Riley.
That's also different than you're talking about a parent, and in those situations, I can see.
I'm just talking about outburst in general.
Yeah, from that perspective, that happening. But I'm talking about the actual members of Congress and the Senate that are acting like this is what is the problem that I have.
Did you see Kamala standing behind him? She had just sat down, and he said something about standing up, and she stood up, and she was like they had a buzzer on her seat.
I noticed though,
dance, Kamala. Dance.
Did you notice Mike Johnson though was agreeing with him most of the time, and then he would get frustrated, but I felt like he was like agreeing with him a lot.
Look, I'm 6 one way, half a dozen on Mike. I was hot on Mike at first, and I've seen he's just another Kevin McCarthy. But like he was kind of nodding his head a little bit at stuff. Like, what is this old man talking about? Yes, and then the opposite too. So I saw him nodding in agreement and nodding in disagreement.
It was, I don't know, it was just kind of strange. And then here's, I don't want to forget this. So some of it was going okay for a moment. He was getting a little groove there. And then he starts talking about shrinkflation, which I was like, it was so stupid at that point.
He's obsessed with you getting less chips in your bag.
I don't care about
that. They do that
stuff.
Because of inflation.
I mean, I just was like, this is the dumbest topic.
We'll all be less fat.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I have a hard time.
Is this healthcare? Sorry, I'm sorry.
I have a hard time taking you serious if you're concerned about how many potato chips you're getting in a bag.
I mean, right, it's one of the dumbest things I've heard. Like, okay, great. I read the other day that we have 20 less sheets on the toilet paper roll, or something like that. I mean, I don't know if this is the most pressing issue facing the country. To bring it up during the State of the Union,
ridiculous.
A little bit.
All right, let's take a break. Come back. We'll have a short segment, and then we got a whole another hour to go here with SHAUN YURTKURAN on the Clay Edwards Show. Guys, don't forget Acme Pizza and Daiquiris tonight. It's the weekend. Get out there, hear some live entertainment. They'll have a one-man acoustical jam type thing going on tonight. And then tomorrow night, I believe they will have their old school throwback 90s dance DJs after 9 o'clock. It's always going to be free to get in. Get out there, enjoy from 4 p.m. to midnight. 12 different specialty pizzas. You can always build your own pie. Made from scratch. Dough is made in-house. Everything. If you get anything with the barbecue pulled pork on it, it's smoked fresh in-house. Big smoker out back there. Try Acme Pizza and Daiquiris. And don't forget, the 9 different frozen daiquiris on tap are available to go. It's all available for delivery, carry out, and of course, dine in. Acme Pizza and Daiquiris. Fannin Mart, right in front of the Clay Edwards Show. Guys, we got about a minute here. Obviously, that's not enough time to get into anything. What happens is we do 4 segments an hour, and the other 3 are not supposed to last as long as they do. So when, of course, we run over, we have to take that time back from somewhere, and unfortunately, it's this last segment of the hour here. So it puts y'all having to listen to a lot of commercials at one time, and I do apologize for that, but I enjoy the longer segments. Speaking of which, me and Kim Wade, I've started back my video podcast. Kim was my first guest yesterday. We sat down for almost an hour and a half, 2 hours, recorded a full-length video conversation talking about Kim's run for mayor, Donald Trump, all kind of other stuff. You can go watch it at the Save JXN YouTube, or I shared the link to my Facebook page. Just go search my name, and you'll see the link right there, or I'll send it to you. We'll be right back. Hey, boom goes the dynamite. You've tuned in. It's hour 2 of the realest show on radio, the most incendiary show on the airwaves here in Central Mississippi from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. every morning. This is the Clay Edwards Show. I got my co-host sitting across from me here, Mr. SHAUN YURTKURAN. Shaun has dyed his hair black, y'all. It's no longer blue. I think after last night, he may be getting ready to vote for Trump. He's off the Biden train.
I like some of the speech. Now, I'll be honest. I think I was looking at it pretty objectively and what the problems with it were that I had, which was it was too political. I didn't like that at all. Like I didn't like that he brought up. I thought bringing up.
Let me do this ad read.
Sorry.
Yep, all good. So you're ready. You're fired up.
Fired up about it. Yeah.
He's done dyed his hair black, and he's all excited. Worked out this morning. Got on his Rogue skin-tight shirt over there.
Yeah.
Look, hey, this weekend, guys, if y'all need any rental equipment, get over to Reliable Rental Equipment right there on Meadowbrook Road in North Jackson. You know where it is, right outside Fondra in there, corner of North State and Meadowbrook. Rollback dumpsters. There's probably going to be some storm damage to clean up after today. You're going to have a lot of limbs and trash and stuff in your yards if you get any big winds through here, which they are expecting. Top of mind should be Reliable Rental Equipment. Let them bring back a rollback dumpster, get it out there. And, hey, maybe you're thinking to yourself, well, Clay, I don't want to have to be the one to actually put the trash in the dumpster. No problem. They got crews that can do it for you. I mean, obviously it's going to cost a little extra, but they can do it. They've got some specials running this month on dumpsters and rollbacks and delivery and all that. Some free delivery, I think, within 20 miles. So check them out, reliablerentalequipmentms.com, reliablerentalequipmentms.com. Take advantage of Steve and his team's great deals going on today. And look, it's so important to mention locally owned and locally operated. I saw where another local rental equipment place sold out to, I think, a national chain, and that guy's getting into something else. Nobody mad at him. I'm just saying, when you can support local, make sure you know you're supporting local. You're not supporting one of these national companies that bought a local store. So just food for thought. Reliable rental equipment, 100% local. All right, Sean.
Yeah, I really think I was trying to look at it as objectively as I could. And like I said earlier, last segment, I thought the beginning of it was very good. And of course, the issue that I care about is destroying the Russians, quite frankly. And I thought he did a good job there. What I didn't like was when he jumped from that, segued into January 6th, that made it completely political so quickly, where you automatically, the chamber's already divided. I get that but you just automatically put everybody on defensive in that setting.
Well, put him on the defense with saying we're at war at two fronts for our democracy, one with Russia and one here at home.
I didn't like that at all.
This America, that Republicans are a threat to democracy. First off, we're a republic, not a democracy. Mm-hmm. It's a threat to Democrat rule.
Yeah, especially with the stuff that you've seen with the prosecutions of Trump. I thought it was just an ill times the word I'm looking for.
Truly gaslighting.
I didn't like it at that point, just to be honest with you. And I really do feel like I'm being objective about the whole thing, because I did like the first part. I did not like that at all. I thought it was just inappropriate, and it just wasn't. It's an issue also for the Democrats. What they don't understand, it's an issue that is not swaying a lot of voters anyway. That they've tried to what they're trying to do is, I was listening to something the other day. Both sides are trying to say, I'm going to vote against the guy. Like, that's what they're doing. But that doesn't always work. It's like, you got to vote for something. And Biden is trying, his campaign, which is really poorly run, in my opinion, is trying to make it like you've got to vote against Trump and this democracy thing. But you're not really saying what you're going to do, and that's a problem. Like Barack Obama, whether you like him or hate him, of course I like him, he gave a message of like hope. And whether you agreed with that or whatever, but there was something that people wanted to vote for. You weren't voting against something. Now Biden is out there saying, we're going to, you're voting against a threat to democracy, and it's just not working. And furthermore, it wasn't appropriate in that venue, I didn't think, at that time. So that part I didn't like. I did like after that, though, he segued into abortion. Now, if you're a Democrat, that's a good thing to run on, because that's the only issue numbers-wise that you're winning on. So you got to use that. And so he did that. Then after that portion, it just became into like what I used to call what I used to prosecute cases when the defense would throw up what's called the spaghetti defense, like throw a bunch of stuff against the wall and see what sticks. And I wasn't able to understand exactly what he was trying to do at that point, because he just kept on saying things like, we're going to ban AI voices, and then he would say, we're going to bring the troops home. And then he jumped in again, like we were talking about, that shrinkflation thing that he ran the Super Bowl commercial for, which I don't know that that's an issue that anybody's ever thought about. I've never sat around a table with my friends and said, okay, have you worried about the fact that there's 20 sheets less on the toilet paper roll than there was before? I've just never been able to do that. And it just became completely disjointed for the rest of the speech. And I didn't understand what he was getting at. So he kind of lost me there. And then, of course, after that, we go into the Republican response, which was just, quite frankly, just as bad. Like the lady, again, I was saying before, like she looked like she was on QVC trying to sell me a hammer or something, and I don't know what. And she was overly dramatic, kind of like a Charleston Heston movie, like Planet of the Apes or something, where she's yelling and constantly going into that. So, like, that was pretty bad, too. But all in all, the bar was set really low for Joe Biden, and I think he met it in terms of he didn't pass out. So that's good. But the bar was already set really low. So we assumed that, was he going to pass out? Was he just going to lose himself? He didn't do that. But in terms of political rhetoric, I thought that was bad. It's not supposed to be a campaign speech. And if you listen to even all the pundits and people that have watched the State of the Union for years, they all remarked that was something they didn't like, was that this became a fiery, in their words, fiery quotes, political speech, when that was not really the time for that. And so those are the issues I had. But so those are my takeaways from it, Clay, pretty much.
All right. Well, just help me with this. What is it that the Democrat, and I disagree with a lot of that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to nitpick everything.
Sure.
I hate Obama, and I was voting against Obama.
I know you were, but I'm just saying, but people that were voting for Obama were voting for him.
Sure. Sure, they weren't voting against the other people. Yeah. Okay. I need help understanding this threat to democracy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What is the threat to democracy? I mean, objectively, like,
yeah, I can.
You were probably in this battle for a little while post January 6th.
Sure, I mean, I think
first off, you have to pretend January 6th was an insurrection to have this conversation, and that goes back to pretending.
I think you and I have talked about this a lot. My feelings on January 6th have completely evolved in 3 years.
Sure.
I think right after January 6th, I was like, oh my God, this is an insurrection. I mean, you watch it on TV, that's what it kind of looks like. What are you going to, and then all this information that's coming out. But then, you get 3 years to kind of dissect what happened. And then, so my views are different on it now than it were then. Do I think some people there were bad actors? Absolutely. I do think that. Do I think people were just there protesting because they were angry? Yeah, I think that too. And that they just came in the building. They weren't trying to overthrow the government. Yeah, I think that absolutely is true too. I think, both things can be true at once. That's what I mean.
It was an out of control riot on that one side.
Yeah. And I mean,
there's people hanging off the stairs in the building and their stuff on fire. I mean, it's a photo that will live in infamy forever. But I mean, like, what is the threat to democracy? And they keep talking about like voting rights for black people and women. Bro, everybody can vote. You have to get up off your ass and go do it.
Sure. I mean, where they're losing me on it, that portion, what you're talking about, is, okay, so now you're saying there's this threat to democracy. But what you're doing in response to this threat that you're saying is there, you're destroying it. That's what bothers me the most. It's like, so your reaction is actually an overreaction, to this threat. Like, what I mean by that is this, like, you've got all these different state prosecutors prosecuting Trump. And you have Letitia James, who ran on the platform, is saying, oh, I'm going to get him. And that's how she got elected. And then she goes and prosecutes him for something that was essentially a victimless crime and gets this huge judgment. Then you get Alan Bragg, who prosecutes him on something that the feds declined to even do, like the porn star case, or what I call it. Then you got Fani Willis, and we've been exhaustive, talked about all the problems with her and what she did and how basically, I think she should lose her law license. So you do all these things to chip away at this, and then you try to get them off the ballot. Let me forget about that. I mean, there's that too.
That is a threat to democracy.
Yeah, that to me is. I agree with you on that. I think that's a problem. Like you have this amazingly overreaction to where you're just trying to destroy this guy. And I'm not saying, look, people always go like, are you saying you like Trump? I'm not saying I like him, but what I don't like is destroying somebody because of their political opinions. Or because it's something I disagree with. Like, I think, this country is about discourse and having opposing views, and you're trying to rip somebody apart because you don't like what he represents.
You don't like who he
represents or what he represents or whatever you want to call it. And you're doing it just, to me, I feel like it's weaponizing. Like, I hate to use this term, but you're weaponizing the justice system, and that's not what the justice system is for.
They've yet to come out and say what Trump did they didn't like. What did Trump do that Democrats didn't like? So and they can use this election theft nonsense, whatever they want. They've still not shut up. They're convinced that somehow Trump stole the 2016 election as a private citizen.
Yeah.
And so for him to come back and have the audacity to suggest that 2020 may have been stolen, They want it both ways. They want to say that when he wasn't in charge, he had the ability to steal an election. Mm-hmm. And I always say, well, if that was the case, couldn't he have done the same thing in 2020 when he was in charge?
Well, I think
they talking out both sides of their mouth.
Well, you said it the other day we were on the phone. I thought was actually really the best, simplest way I've heard it put. They were really embarrassed about what happened in 2016. Like it was, and that started, if you think about it, that started with the Russia stuff. And then, it snowballed into this whole effect of we hate this guy because he kind of, think about it, you kind of hate people that embarrass you. Like that just on a simple, personal
Mm-hmm.
level. And I think that was such an embarrassment because they thought under no circumstance that could Donald Trump win the 2016 election. Like they didn't believe that was possible. Quite frankly, honestly, I don't think a lot of people did. Even the only people I ever heard that time following it, as closely as I did, was Bill Maher, who I always talk about, and Michael Moore, of all people, the liberal filmmaker. Those are the two people actually saying there that Trump is going to win this election. And the only two I ever heard during that whole time. And I think even, I'll take you back to 2015, right after he announced. He was on Morning Joe constantly in 2015. Mika and Joe, they were actually personal friends, all the three of them, prior to all this. And so they'd have him on the show. And the reason they did was they're like, this is entertaining because we never know what he's going to say. And Donald would just call into the show, and Hillary never would. Hillary was like, I'm not calling in. I'm too good for this stuff. I mean, she would occasionally, but so he was on all the time because they liked the novelty of it, I think. And then the media, every time Trump would have a campaign, they'd cover it. They gave him a lot of free media because they didn't know what he was going to say, and it sells. Just like we talk about all the time, that stuff sells. And then they get mad. They're like, I can't believe he got elected. I was like, well, y'all gave him a pretty good platform to do so. I mean, and now you're blaming him. Like you wanted to publicize him, and he got a lot of, because he's good at that. That's what he does very well. He's a good marketer, and he used that, and you use it all now. And now you guys are complaining and blaming everybody else. I just think that's ridiculous, too.
I guess, and I'm not putting you on the spot here. I'm just continuing my train of thought. I still am trying to understand how Trump is a threat to democracy.
I mean, I can't answer that question. I don't know. I don't think.
And neither can they.
I can't.
When everything they do, look at this New York thing. I saw yesterday where the judge in the E. Jean Carroll trial is forcing Trump to put up the $90 billion bond on this thing while it's appealed. And he had to put up the $500 million bond on the other one while it's appealed. And they're just laughing. I mean, there's nowhere in the rule of law do these things make any sense on any practical level. That is a threat to democracy. And, Sean, I never really thought we should be locking up political people. Mm. It was fun to chant it with Hillary, lock her up. Hindsight's 2020. They really should have locked her ass up. But now I don't. Man, I want to play a clip real quick, and we're going to go to commercial.
Sure.
Alex Jones is saying exactly what I've been saying on this show for the last 6 months, that from November 5th to January 20th, this country's going to change as we know it forever because there's no turning back from where we're at. I'm going to play this, and we're going to go straight to commercial.
War. So they want to induce us into violence, and they've said they're introducing legislation, the Democratic Party in the House and Senate, to strip Trump.
Real quick, this was last night on Tucker Carlson's show.
Of the Insurrection Act, which George Herbert Walker Bush used during the L.A. riots. And they're saying, we know when he gets elected, if he does, there's going to be huge uprisings, and he's a white supremacist, so we've got to drive him from office that way. So they're planning to torch the country when he's president-elect before he's in and try to intimidate everyone. So Black Lives Matter and Antifa and all of this Hezbollah, Hamas protests. And again, I'm not for the war. I don't like how far Israel's gone. But they're invoking that and hyping that up now as their third rail or their fifth column is the Islamicist, to then burn the country down within weeks of him being president-elect and thinking they can terrorize the American people and the establishment into removing Trump somehow during that period. They've already pre-announced that. So I'm telling you now, 8 months out, that's their plan.
Welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show. We're live here on WYAB. Hey, guys, look, you got a four-wheeler, an ATV, you having any problems with it, you've torn something up, get over there and see my friends at Southeastern Power Sports right on Highway 51 North in Madison. Joe McNamee and his team will get you back rolling. Now, look, they're not going to work on any of this stuff you buy from a hardware store. Some of this Chinese-made, low-powered, four-wheeler stuff. He was telling me a story about that. You can have 4 of the exact same ones sitting beside each other, and they may have 4 different engine components on them. You know, so everyone's different. There's no way of knowing how to get the right parts. Don't buy that cheap stuff. Buy the good stuff and don't have to worry about it, because once you break it, you're just going to throw it away. They're just throw away ATVs and side-by-sides. You don't want that. Even though it's quote-unquote cheap, it's still too expensive to waste money on. So invest into something a little bit better. And if you don't want to buy it, can't afford something brand new, you're in luck. They sell pre-owned ATVs and side-by-sides right there at Southeastern Power Sports. And hey, you already got one, you want to customize it? They do all that too. Lifts, accessories, sound systems, the whole 9 yards. And, of course, they got all your basic maintenance stuff as well, oil changes, brakes, all that good stuff. Check them out, Southeastern Power Sports, Highway 51 North in Madison. You're heading, you pass Yandell Road, Guns and Gear and all that, heading up towards Canton. It's going to be right there on your right. You'll see, I think they got an old 3-wheeler, old 4-wheeler or something outside with a sign on the front of it. Big shop there. You won't miss it if you're looking for it. Southeastern Power Sports. All right, Sean, let's shift gears a little bit.
Yep. We've covered the State of the Union pretty well.
We've covered the State of the Union. We know America's heading towards a civil war. Yeah. In the meantime,
and while we're here,
in the meantime,
go to Martin's. Have fun.
Our Congress is trying to ban TikTok again.
I saw that yesterday. I figured you saw. I was about to text it to you, but yeah.
You know, so there's roughly 170 million Americans on there. And I had some guy on my Facebook page, I was sharing the links to the TikTok. He's like, man, you know a lot of your followers, you know, aren't on TikTok for a particular reason. Why do you not post your videos here? Because I trust China more than I trust Meta. And I want to be very clear about that. I do. I despise Meta. And Meta owns Facebook and Instagram and Google, and then also the Google people with YouTube. I don't like giving them my content. They do not like it. They change the rules as you go, and they delete stuff a year and a half later, and now won't allow you to post for a couple of weeks. So they change the rules on the go. And anybody that creates content every day, there's no way to remember what you talked about a year and a half ago, especially when you do this every day, and know, oh wait, I need to go delete episode 700 or 102 because what was okay then ain't okay now. So yeah, I despise Meta. I despise Mark Zuckerberg because he helped steal the election with all the Zuckbucks and everything he did in 2020, and he's one of the reasons we're putting up with this nonsense and shrinkflation and Bidenomics and everything else now.
Yeah, I saw an article in Axios. I just Googled it. I guess Trump came out earlier today or late last night saying he had support of TikTok against that legislation. And
it needs to be. Too many Americans. Now, obviously, I'm a little biased here. I make money on TikTok. It's a big portion of how I supplement my income. But there's so many more people, and I don't just mean content creators. I mean, you're talking about, and people are like, oh, just go to Instagram. Instagram pays pennies on the dollar compared to TikTok. It's just the money is not there. You can't make it on TikTok. I mean, on Instagram and Facebook as a content creator without selling ads and sponsorship and stuff like that. But like on TikTok, you can literally make a living just on views because of the way they place ads in them.
And I just saw here's a tweet from Steve Scalise, the Republican leader in the House, that said he's going to bring the legislation to the floor pretty quickly.
Yeah, well, he may end up getting shot again.
Oh, God.
You start messing with people's money.
He said, Steve Scalise says the House committee just voted 50-0 to force TikTok to sever ties with the Chinese Communist Party. I bring this critical national security bill to the House floor for a vote next week. And that was yesterday.
170 million Americans use TikTok.
Yeah, that's what it's saying right here.
170 million. Tens of millions make their living on it. And, you're not talking about just what this does is it completely cripples an entire economy. And I
agree with you on that.
I don't just mean content creators. Mm-hmm. I mean the businesses that sell, that their whole shops are based on advertising on this platform. And, we're not talking about just Clay Edwards. You might not like me, and that's fine and dandy. But there is somebody else on there you do like, and you do watch, or you buy stuff from.
Well, here you're gonna like this. you're going to agree with the Democrats. So Representative Jamal Bowen from Democrat from New York, he went on TikTok accusing his colleagues of trying to silencing young people against the ban. So it's amazing how I guess this is crosses party lines and the way people feel about it.
Yeah, this should not be a Democrat versus conservative thing. Conservatives, this is how you ruin yourself. And people are going to say, "Oh, well, they're brainwashing kids to do this," and all that can be true. The TikTok in Asia is different than the TikTok in America, but it is what it is. I don't know what else to tell you. They're not going to get it from there. They're going to get it from somewhere else. But that is such a small portion of what's on there. Most of TikTok ain't political. Most of the internet's not political. Most of the internet is just people posting their lives and having fun and enjoying themselves. Mm-hmm. You have this small portion, 5-10%. I know that's not small, but comparatively speaking, that have ruined it for everybody else with all of our incendiary political stuff. Most people are not on there doing the things and talking about the things we do.
No, I think you're right. I mean, I don't think that. I think, honestly, I think most people are not really that into politics. I think your average person that you talk to is there's just that group of us that are into that.
Most of TikTok isn't Dylan Mulvaney.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now, do I think there's a place for that on there? No, I disagree with that 100%. I think you should. I don't know, man. We banned porn. Now we're trying to ban TikTok.
Ban everything?
Yeah, just ban everything. Banning more stuff at the Capitol all the time. I'm really fed up.
That's the way I
with
feel,
this ban culture.
Man, I guess that's the partial libertarian in me. I'm like, why are we let people decide what they want, or what do they want to see, what they want to use? Like, I don't like people telling me what I can look at. I don't think it's right, but. I'd like to see specifically what the national security concerns that they do have about this, and how is there a way to fix that issue? Do they create like a U.S. TikTok? I don't know exactly how that works.
That's what they wanted them to do originally, and that's kind of what the bill says here, that they're going to have to create not necessarily an American subsidiary, but they're going to have to spin it off from China, which they had said they did, but I guess they've decided that they didn't.
Okay,
I understand all that. But banning it ain't going to be the answer.
I mean
you're going to cripple a large economy.
Does banning anything? That's a good topic too. Does banning anything ever really work?
No.
I mean, it makes things worse. I was talking to
drugs,
a friend of mine about
prostitution.
Prohibition is a good example. Prohibition. It created the American mafia essentially.
Yep.
And I mean, it's like we never learned anything from that. Then we went from prohibition to the war on drugs, which I think most people agree. Like, I don't know that we've made it better. Now we've got a fentanyl problem or whatever this problem. I mean, when you ban stuff, it just exacerbates the problem, in my opinion.
Let's take a call. We got Jerry on the line.
Yep.
Jerry, do you disagree with me about this?
Well, kind of, sort of. What's wrong? Okay, you're saying there's nothing wrong with TikTok because you're making money on it. So what's the difference of what Joe Biden's doing, selling our national secrets, because he's making money on it?
No. I said there's plenty wrong with it. I was like, but we also make money on it.
Just take anything that is Chinese company is government communist owned. And it's not the content, it's how they use the geo-tracking and everything else from the military people use it to whatever. You're just giving them a free map. And you just said, hey, they don't do the same thing as far as content in China. And you mentioned SHAUN fentanyl. Oh, we can't ban fentanyl. Well, yeah, we can ban fentanyl if we just crack down on the southern border as far as the overuse of it. But there's nothing wrong with protecting our borders. Let's just say this. Okay, we want a free and open society. SHAUN, someone freely walked into your house one night. Mm. Why don't you just leave the door open, because they don't mean you any harm, right?
I mean, I think that's completely different. It's completely different. Yeah, it is.
It's absolutely not. We have to.
Jerry, let me ask you this question: Did prohibition help this country? Did prohibition help this country?
Hell, I wasn't around then.
I mean, but I know you're a pretty well-read guy. I mean, so you could answer my question. I mean, did it help?
Prohibition, you got people that liked alcohol, so they were going to find a way to get it. Exactly.
Did it create the American mafia?
They'll find a way. Well, the mafia was already there. Just let them make more money. It probably created more, Turkish drug lords. I don't know. Could have.
Right.
The mafia was from Italy, so who knows?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they found a way to provide an illegal substance, and we'll find another TikTok to make money on. But we're giving away to our sworn enemies access to sensitive information, not just ours, but everywhere they go. Why did we not have what was it, Yahweh phones? Because they found tracking devices in those phones. Our government was giving them contracts for it. Donald Trump banned the use of them. Now, we probably are still using them. Now, I can't say that my, Galaxy phone is not being tracked or anything. God, it's scary to think about what they do.
Well,
but
here's my thing.
I make money on TikTok, therefore don't ban it. We need to have some protections there. And yes, you do need to make money.
No.
But,
then I want the same I want the same energy for Silicon Valley and YouTube and Facebook and everywhere else. The only reason the government is making this big fuss about TikTok and the same argument you're making is because they probably don't give the government the backdoor access that they want to TikTok like the rest of big tech has.
Okay. China owns it. That's fine. But I think any foreign country that is an adversary ours should not have access to every part of our United States and the government and everybody toting one around. It's a difference of opinion.
Well, then don't let an electronic device from China come to America. I mean, let's just go all out blockade.
You know what? I'll be fine with that.
I mean, there's
no problem with me. We'll bring them home and make them here.
That's the selective blockades and banning because it fits a narrative or doesn't is stupid to me to begin with. So it's a kind of all or nothing.
Actually, no, it's not. Not if it's for your national security. If it's for your national security, or if it's someone that is using the World Trade Organization or underdeveloped statuses to gain something to take your jobs and your income, a tariff or a blockade, there's nothing wrong with it. My goal on it is if I were in charge and I was dictator for a year, if you got a tariff on me, I got one on you. If you're not letting me sell my Mercedes-Benz in, Singapore or wherever without a 200% tariff, then I'm putting a 200% tariff on your Chinese or Japanese car that's here in the United States. Wow, you want free and open trade? Let's have free and open trade. But y'all aren't for that. You're for, cheap stuff, and that's fine. And since we make money on these things, we got 170 million people. Hey, if China didn't own it, would we have 170 million people on it? Probably. So why not make them divest the Chinese government from it without access? Because they do have it. The president testified in front of Congress that they would not get rid of this. They would not get rid of the Chinese ownership. Do you feel comfortable, walking into some secure areas with a Chinese government spy app on your phone?
They can make government employees not have it. There seems like a simple solution to that. Jerry, I got to take my break, man. I got to take.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for letting me talk.
Thanks.
See you. Bye.
We'll be right back. Brought to you by Men's Health of Mississippi. Guys, get your levels checked today. You will not regret it. Are you feeling slow, tired? Are you obese? Are you working out and you can't quite get over the hump of not being able to build any muscle? Are you not sleeping good? Well, lucky for you, you're probably, well, not lucky for you, but lucky for you, there's a cure, maybe, and it's low testosterone. Get out there, man. Get your levels checked today. We're offering, Men's Health of Mississippi is offering free testosterone screenings, no commitment. Go out there, get your levels checked, and there's way more than just testosterone. They're going to check everything and really get you to see where you're at. Maybe they catch something that's wrong with you that you didn't know about. So it's always nice to get a free health screening. And, man, lucky you if you qualify for testosterone replacement. Text FREE, F-R-E-E. Text FREE to 601-327-8550. 601-327-8550. Text FREE, and they'll get you an appointment for your testosterone screening. I get so excited talking about testosterone and people, man. I've just the the stories I get from everybody about a month to 6 weeks after they start, it's phenomenal. Like, I'm not a believer in hocus pocus, pyramid schemes, none of that type stuff. This works.
It does.
And I'm excited
absolutely.
for people. All right, let's shift gears back to this real quick.
Yeah.
I want to remind you all, my lack of, my confliction on this, and why I disagree with Jerry, and why I disagree with banning this, because we've allowed big tech here in America to do everything that we fear China doing, and nobody's trying to shut them down. They have sold Americans out to the government. Remember January 6th. Y'all want to talk about communist behavior, fascist behavior. January 6th, right after that, they blamed all of it on being planned on Parler. Parler had just become, after Twitter banned Trump, or somewhere in that timeline, Parler became the #1 most downloaded app in the App Store. It was about to be the new Twitter. I used Parler a lot. It wasn't going to replace Facebook. It just wasn't that kind of app, at least at that moment. It was way more like Twitter. Big tech banded together to make Parler go away. They knocked them off the cloud servers and everything. Big tech did that. Do you know where January 6th, if we're going to sit here and play it was an insurrection game for the sake of arguing, it was all planned in Facebook groups and on Twitter. Then Twitter and Facebook band together to get Parler deleted. Mm-hmm. And you know damn well that our government has all the backdoor access, or at least did. I don't know if Elon is still allowing them to with Twitter, but they had all the backdoor access to every one of our personal lives. I'm sorry. I don't look at China as any worse of an enemy than I do the people currently running our government. And I'm not talking about just Democrats. I'm talking about left wing, right wing, deep state, communists are running our government now. Sean, you were going to mention the Patriot Act.
Well, yeah, I was, talking about, I think Jerry was talking about things that were done in the interest of national security. That was one of them, Patriot Act. We saw how well that turned out. So, I mean, everything done in the interest of national security is not always the best idea. Next thing I would actually say is this. We're talking about China here and things that we are getting from China, this being TikTok. I would take that argument more seriously. And I'm not saying there is not national security concerns that I'm concerned about that we should be. But we decided to outsource everything, our manufacturing, to them like 40, 50 years ago. This was our decision. This is not the Democrats. This is all of them said, hey, you know what we're going to do? We're going to send everything to China. They're going to make everything we use, and we're going to pay a lot less for it. This is something the American public never really disputed. Now, we talk about, hey, we love American manufacturing. We want to bring it. We really don't, and that sucks. Don't get me wrong. And here's why we don't. It's because we pay, $1,000 for an iPhone. Now, if we brought it all back here, we're going to pay $5,000 for that iPhone. And so it sounds like a great political campaign thing. Well, we're going to bring American manufacturing. Well, we decided to give it all up. We had it, but we said, you know what? What we would rather have is lower cost goods. So now we got all this stuff over there being made there. Everything we buy is made over there. And we're now complaining about TikTok. Well, what about your iPhone? What about your Samsung Galaxy?
Politicians and corporations have been making hundreds of millions of dollars from China for a long time. The second average Joe starts making some money for China, it's no, we got to ban it.
Yep.
We got to ban. No. Y'all can't get any. That's only for us. That's only for these big landowners that want to sell their land to China. Send all of our jobs over there. And it's some weird twist of fate. China has actually created an entire economy over here with TikTok as content creators and businesses and this whole ecosystem that is TikTok. Mm-hmm. And those are jobs here in America. And we're gonna say, well, just figure out another way to do it. Well, how about we burn your business to the ground today and you just figure out another way to do it?
Oh, and they don't care about, I'll give you this from a personal example. My side business, I have an Amazon business that I've been doing for years, and I'm really into that. And the Chinese sellers have taken over. People don't realize that when you're buying something on Amazon, majority of what you're buying is a Chinese seller. And it's.
I go to where I look at the seller and see their address.
Yeah. It's got that's the best way. And they've actually crushed the U.S. businesses because they're going to sell what they make at a way lower cost than we can, get something. And so it just kills your business. But they've allowed that unfettered access to the Chinese on that platform.
An American-owned company.
Right. I mean, they have run it, and I've been all these sellers groups on there, talked to people about it, just destroyed their businesses. I don't see the U.S. government saying a word about how many. There's millions of small businesses on there, by the way. Don't say a word about it. That's not a problem. But now TikTok's a problem. But we don't care about this. And I'm just using Amazon as an example. There's a lot of other examples.
I'm sure Walmart.com, all of them.
Yeah, I mean, there's tons of examples to that. But that's not a problem. We're going to let them do that. But now TikTok's a problem. So
TikTok's a problem because the government doesn't control it. Mm-hmm. They don't have that backdoor, unfettered access like they do at Meta.
Yeah.
So TikTok's a problem. It's only our government should be spying on us and knowing every move we make, not China. I mean, I'm sorry. Yes, I agree. China should not be doing what they're doing. I am not pro that. I'm just saying I'm also anti it being allowed by domestic companies and our government.
Mm-hmm. I also, if they want to ban TikTok or anything, why don't we just ban everything from China? Let's just if they're being for real. Now I'll get on board with them on that. If they want to do that, if that's their plan, we're going to ban anything manufactured in China. We're going to ban TikTok. We're going to ban the sellers being able to do okay, fine. If that's we're protecting America, do it.
Yeah,
they ain't going to do that though.
I'd be all in.
Yep,
it's all or nothing.
They are not going to do that.
Quit selectively deciding that this fits my agenda today. Mm-hmm. So this is what we're going to do. Let's take a break. Come back, land the plane for the day. Welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show. Hey, guys, that last 30 minutes is a prime example of we ain't always going to agree on stuff. And everybody can get passionate about their thoughts and their opinions. And, look, I respect Jerry, and Jerry's not wrong.
No, he's not. Yeah, I guess you're right. I'm glad you clarified that. He's not. His concerns are legitimate. I mean, they're legitimate concerns.
He's not wrong, but mine are too. Mm-hmm. My concerns are legitimate. And yes, do I have a bias in it because I make money on there? Yeah, absolutely. But that's what I'm asking. Are we not? Is the little guy not allowed to make money from the China invasion, or is it only major corporations that whore their products out to China?
Because they don't care about us. I mean, I'm talking about our own government. They don't care.
I mean, you have these companies that are making so much money on there to get into China. They agreed to let China steal their technology so they can still sell their product in China, a la iPhones.
Yeah,
and
we can sell. How many of those get sold a year? I mean,
hundreds of millions.
Yeah, tons. I mean,
so it's a very complex conversation. And again, I have zero trust in our federal government. I don't want them spying on me no more than I want China spying on me. China wasn't over here locking up January 6th tourists. Our federal government was, and they were using big tech here in America to do it. Let that soak in. China ain't over here locking up January 6th tourists. Big tech is. Big tech is over here putting American businesses out of business because they were threatened by them. And they used, quote unquote, national security to do it. I'm just saying, don't trust none of these MFers. Sean, great show. I will see you next week. I'll see you on Monday.